Okay. So, just to start off, your name.
Dave Richards.
And what branch of the military were you in?
The Army.
The Army? And what rank did you hold while you were there?
Spec 5.
Spec 5.
D5.
D5. So, what exactly were you assigned to? Like, what were your duties?
I was in finance.
Finances?
And
Finances. Okay. So this was for the Vietnam War.
It was.
And were you actually sent over to Vietnam while you were there?
I was.
Where were you based exactly?
Long Bend.
Long Bend? Now where is that?
It's
to most of the country.
It's south and
Near Saigon at all? Or?
yes, it wasn't far from
Wasn't far
Saigon.
from
I couldn't
Saigon.
tell you just how far it was out in the It wasn't far away. It was
So you
extremely large.
It was.
Yes.
So, did you mostly stay within the city, or did you ever actually head out?
No, my office was
Strictly right there.
just as this was an office in
Yep.
the compound.
In the compound.
And we ventured out a few times, but not very often.
Yeah.
Just car and hour.
Now, what time, like, what was the time frame that you were actually there? What years were you there?
I was there in 71 to 72.
72. So, now, before you even got there, where did you go for your basic training and all that?
I started at Fort Dix.
Fort Dix?
I went from Fort Dix to Fort Jackson. Fort Jackson to Indianapolis,
Okay.
finance school. Fort Benning Harrison.
Okay.
Then we went overseas,
Yeah.
and I spent a year there, and I came back, and I was in Fort Hood, Texas,
Okay.
until I fall of 17.
Awesome. So, while you were over there, did you, you met up with different groups and all that, I'm sure. What were you mainly, what type of units were you mainly running into? Air cav?
Everything.
Or everything?
Everything. The finance company I was assigned to was the largest finance office in the world.
Oh, really?
And it paid just everybody that was in Vietnam. It was paid, went through our office.
Mm-hmm.
All of the civilians, contractors, were contractors with the government were paid through our office.
Right.
So it was, each one of us had, in my particular unit, we were all responsible for a number of different companies.
Mm-hmm.
And paid them. When we first went over, I went over with the group I was with, we were the first group that had been trained at Fort Harrison to convert the military manual pay system to a computerized system.
Oh, really?
And while we were there, we had to transfer everybody's records and everything
Into the digital.
Digital. What passes digital at that time system, and then it also, at that time, the military changed from a once-a-month payroll to a twice-a-month payroll. Every 2 weeks you could get paid.
Oh.
It was highly discouraged in Vietnam because you had no place to spend money or whatever, so they tried to discourage folks from drawing twice a month, so to
Right.
speak. But regardless,
It was deemed that they...
people could.
Mm-hmm.
It made it hard for that once a month of pay time, when the pay officers would come in, they'd come in from the field, and those were the fellows that were, out there doing it.
Fighting.
They'd come in and pick up the payrolls and take it back out, and then they'd have so many days to distribute the payroll, sign, after everybody signed for it. It was a chain of command type of thing. It's
Right.
a chain of command. And they would come in, I say, once a month, pick up the payroll, take it out, and they'd have, I don't remember the to try to find everybody in their unit. Because at the time,
People were spread out
they were
everywhere.
spread out everywhere. You might have a squad of people that were, you don't know where they were.
Almost up in Cambodia, I'm sure.
Right, and wherever. But they bring back, and whatever they brought back hadn't been dispersed, was put back into the,
Yeah. So you weren't there during any time near the fall, near the end of it, were you?
No, we left it by then.
Yeah. So getting over there, you came over mainly by ship or by plane, or
We came by plane.
you did
We left.
large transport plane.
Right. I don't remember. It was big.
I'm sure. Yeah.
The only thing in it was seats.
Yeah.
Just
Nothing elaborate or anything
nothing
like that.
elaborate at all. No.
So, was there anything that really struck you while you were over there? Did you run into any individuals that really made you think about what you were doing, or really give you an idea of wow, we're really helping this out, or anything like that?
I did not have a lot of contact with folks from the outside,
You did.
just because of where I was inside the compound, and I really didn't care anything about going outside. We had a couple of ladies that worked with our unit that were Vietnamese, and they were very well liked by everybody that was there, as far as, being personable, I guess,
Right.
probably. And told you, how and why and stuff like that.
Explain the cultural differences.
What the cultural differences and things like that. And they were, as I say, they were very nice ladies.
Yeah.
They did their job.
Now I hate to ask, but did you ever see any of did any shells actually get nearby mortars or anything like that? Never actually saw.
No, you used to see that out in the distance because we had regular guard duty that we had to perform in the perimeter of the place, and you'd see that
Off in the distance.
off in the distance.
But they never really got close enough.
There was never anything. No, there was a pretty secure place where we were. As I say, why did that? That was they called it the LBJ ranch, but it was Long Bend Jail, and that was a jail where it was an ultra-modern facility for criminals.
And anybody that they
and
caught.
both American and foreigners, and there was a huge PX there, and there was a Chinese restaurant. And, it was
A lot of different amenities.
A lot of different things.
So, while you were over there also, did you kind of get the feeling it was a lot different than home, or did they actually have a lot of the stuff that you would find, restaurants nearby, or was it totally different when you were able to get out? Did you have the same luxuries that you have at home? Because, today, you go over there, and a lot of these bases, they even have Burger Kings, they say.
Yeah, no, there wasn't any of that.
There wasn't.
But as I say, there was a
Chinese
restaurant that the fellow that used to come in once a month to pick up the payroll.
Right.
That
The
was
hot spot to
that
go
was
to.
a big thing. Everybody wanted, other than military food, they wanted
Right.
they wanted something different, and so that was a very popular place. But going out in the countryside, we went one Sunday, I think it was, we took a tour down to the beach, down to Montreal, and spent the afternoon there, and that gave us just a glimpse of what this countryside was like.
Right.
It was pretty secure while we were there. Afterwards, it wasn't secure.
Yeah.
It was one of the places you heard about in the fall.
Yeah.
And all, but you definitely see a different way of life that
You don't see over
nobody here ever experiences.
So there's still rice paddies and people working there all outside.
Just a frame shelter with a lot of metal signs and things
Mhm.
like that. That was their roof and their side, and the walls of their home.
Very basic.
Very, very basic. Yeah, really, really primitive.
So, you said like it was a pretty secure area. What type of security are you talking about? Were there like tanks rolling down the streets or anything like that?
Oh, no, it was just,
They actually just had enough people
they
sitting
had
around there
people
constantly.
and I'm sure outside, you know, there were, oh yeah, it was secure.
Were you a volunteer for this, or had you been drafted?
I volunteered
You did?
simply because my number was coming up and I was gonna get drafted and I wanted a little input into what I was gonna be doing, that's all.
Didn't want to get thrown into a random unit.
Right, right. You know, my college, my experience, I was a had finance background
Mhm.
and all, so it worked pretty well for me. I wasn't sorry. It was an experience
Mhm.
that being where I was, wasn't a bad experience at all.
Right.
And if I hadn't been married, I probably would have stayed a little longer.
Mhm.
You know, volunteered to stay a little longer, but I was married.
Yeah.
You know,
So overall, you didn't mind it. It wasn't a horrible situation.
not where I was.
Not where you were.
Not
So.
where I was, not what my job was, but
But you were in a
I know.
kind of a farther back area than
That's-
some of the other.
That's correct, yeah.
So, and you can not choose answers. Did you actually ever see any of the situations where of the people who were up front? Like, did you ever run into any of the people who had been up there
Oh, yes.
and
Oh, yes.
they came back and they weren't necessarily in the best of shape? They were
Yes.
tired and
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, we.
coming through all the time, or every once in a
No,
while?
as I say, once a month, and it became twice a month, the fellows would have to come in to
Okay.
pick up and it was usually the payroll officer tended to be the low man on the totem pole
Yeah.
as far as officers
Yeah.
in the company were concerned. They were delegated to be the pay officers, so with that responsibility, I mean, when you've got $200,000 or $300,000 in cash,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's a heck of a responsibility.
Right.
And the fellows one particular gentleman that I became somewhat friends with, he was I guess he was probably a first lieutenant at the time, but he was in a company of folks that were out in the delta in the river,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, patrolling that, and
Yeah.
he had people, he didn't know where they were. He knew
Oh,
they were on
really?
the river, and he was he was a graduate of Southern College University with a degree in astronomy, and he had
He couldn't find where his guys were or
No,
anything like that. They were
no.
just too spread out.
They
or?
were, well, it was just covert, and, you know, they were just patrolling and,
Right.
and what all, but I meant that is that he was there because of ROTC. The
Mhm.
government had helped put into a school, and he was doing his duty to be there, but it was, you know, there was a long way from astronomy, this,
From what he was doing.
getting shot at, going up and down, trying to pay people, so, no, there were people coming through all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, Long Ben also was a huge medevac.
Oh, so you saw the choppers coming in all the time?
They were, you know, that was constant.
Really?
It was just.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, it was just helicopters coming all the time.
Now, was this also a base where some of the larger planes would fly out of?
No.
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 That was all done
That
at
was
Benoit.
It was close, I mean, it was in the neighborhood.
But not directly there, so you didn't actually get to see any of the large.
No.
Do. Well, that's essentially what we're trying to get a hold of, so thank you very much for doing this with
Yes,
us.
sir. Glad I could help. Buddy.
Yeah.
So just to start off, what's your name? Just for
William Ranta.
William Ranta. And what branch of the military were you in?
I was on that
Alright,
from 94 to 97.
Mm-hmm.
I was an Army paratrooper from I got off active duty and stayed in the National Guard. I was deployed to Iraq with the 8th Army National Guard from January 6th,
Mm-hmm.
2004 to 2005.
Yeah. And what was your rank while you were?
I was a sergeant.
Sergeant. And so this was for the second Gulf War, or
Yes.
you weren't in the first one at all?
No.
Okay, so while you were there, what were any specific functions that you did? Were you a standard infantry?
No, I was in an engineering unit,
Okay.
combat heavy,
How heavy?
which was more of construction.
Mm-hmm.
They have a vertical element and a horizontal element, and the heavy equipment, and then they have the carpenters and plumbers. And initially, I was working as a 51 driver, which is a carpentry and masonry specialist.
Okay.
But my unit was set up, and they set up a security team,
Mm-hmm.
do convoy escorts,
Okay.
and with my past experience, I joined the 12-man security team. So my main responsibilities were job site security
Mm-hmm.
and convoy escorts.
So mainly making sure that there wasn't any intrusive material nearby that somebody could use to get up close, or?
No, we did everything from tower guard,
Okay.
convoy escorts with the gun trucks. We maintained the Humvee gun trucks with the 50 calibers, the Mark 19s, and the
Mm-hmm.
M249 machine guns.
So you were there for about how long?
That was about 11 months.
11 months. And while you were over there, you did, I'm sure, see some combat, just a little bit.
Yeah, I see a few IEDs. We had in northern Iraq, we had a suicide car bomber
Really?
try to crash our gate, and I was hit. There's on a few convoys that we got hit with roadside bombs.
You did. Were they the biggest? Were IEDs and roadside bombs the biggest worry that you had while you were over there, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, it wasn't about
I mean, nothing bothers you until you get hit with an IED.
that you can't
But
really
then-
see.
But then after that, you see something that just doesn't look right, and you're always anticipating maybe something's gonna happen.
Did you actually help with the capture of any of the cities up there, or was it mainly just strictly security that you were working?
Oh, no, everything was already, see, I wasn't in the initial phase of the
Okay.
push into the country.
You were just
So
protecting
the base
convoys.
camps and everything were already
Okay.
situated. As far as I wasn't out kicking down doors now.
So while you were over there, did you actually meet with like any of the locals and have to work with them to get certain facilities set up or anything like that?
When I was in northern Iraq and in Indiana, I worked with the local Peshmerga.
Mm-hmm.
Was they're more guerrillas, but
Right.
I worked with the Kurdish Peshmerga, and they'd be like a squad of them, and there'd be 2 or 3 of us security guys from the security team. We'd go out and we'd set up job site security with the Peshmerga, because they had some project sites up there. They were building a school, and they were working on a road. So we'd go out, set up security, and we'd do vehicle checks with them. We'd kind of like oversee them.
Mhm.
They'd search the vehicles and work day to day for about 3.5 months with them. It was a real good experience.
So just training them to make sure they know all the basics on how to do
they're-
it themselves, or
They were pretty much already trained, but you just gotta kind of, kind
just
of oversee them and make sure they're doing a thorough search. And
not like
you got some, every army has lazy people, and some of those guys will,
They just wanted to push it off to the side
Yeah.
sometimes.
you know.
So was it mainly Kurdish Iraqis that you were working with, or did you work with any more southern peoples at that time?
Yeah, there was some Sunnis around because I was in Mosul.
Mhm.
There's some Sunnis around Mosul that worked on the base camp.
Yeah.
But I mean, my better experience was when I worked with the Kurds.
So going back to almost when you were in training, where did you actually go for your training? Did you get sent down south? I know there's a few places in
Yeah,
Kentucky.
When we went to Fort Drum, New York, and
Okay.
we did winter warfare training in December, January.
Must have been a little bit of fun.
I had 34 hours.
And you also said you were a paratrooper. Where did you actually go for that training?
Oh, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia.
Fort Benning,
Yeah,
Georgia.
in 1994.
So you were having fun jumping out of planes?
Yeah, when I was younger.
Yeah, in the interviews. Is there any actual time that you actually preferred? Did you prefer back when you were doing that, or back when you were National Guard, or was it all about the same for you? Did you prefer any experience over the other one, just for people you met, or anything like that?
And active duties, you know.
It's different than...
Oh yeah, it's, you know, it's different.
So, while you were over there, did you find the camaraderie became a little tighter than when you were over here? I mean, was it kind of, you always hear the Band of Brothers philosophy coming along. Did something like that occur while you were over in Iraq? Or?
You know, you have your guys, you know, over here. You know, you think they're real good people and stuff, but they're true cowboy show when you get, you know, it's a tight situations. No, you see if they're gonna really do their job and perform, or if they're gonna try to hide on the base camp.
Right.
You know, so I see a few guys that, you know, I lost respect for over there for their actions in the country.
Yeah, but were there a few that you really did get close to because
yeah, definitely. You know, you got guys that, you know, I mean, you put your life on the line every day. I mean, you start to, you know, everybody kind of thinks alike. You know, you just roll it. That's why I like the, you know, the security team, small group of guys, you know.
But usually,
you gotta depend on each other, you know.
Yeah. While you were there, did you see like anything that really did change you though? Was there anything like culturally that was totally different that took you a little bit off guard?
Oh, was it
with the locals? Was there anything that they did totally different than what we do over here?
Oh yeah, I mean it's night and day. I mean it's their lifestyle. I mean it's just, you know, they're herders. You know, most of them are herders. You know,
not actual people that like settle down in one spot for a long time, or.
Well, I mean, there's gypsies, and you know, you see gypsies around, but I mean, you know, they have their family. You know, they raise their sheep, and kind of that's their little world. You know, I mean, they don't really care about too much as long as they feed their family and their sheep. You know.
Now, when I talked to a few other people, they came into the sense of living accommodations. Did you find any, I've heard of stories that they actually have sometimes everything from even Burger Kings over there. Did you actually have anything like that while you're there, or is it more standard military food most of the time? What was the situation like for just standard living accommodations?
Oh, when I was down in Mosul, we ate at the dining facility.
So is it just a standard military dining facility, or did they have third-party companies doing it? Commercial.
Yeah, Brown and Root.
Brown and Root.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then when we went to northern Iraq, we had a home mess facility.
You did?
They set one up, yeah.
Did you ever go out and eat any of the local food?
Yeah, I pretty much ate off the local. We weren't really supposed to, but, you know, you get sick of eating MIEs and the rations.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I was working on job site securities with the Peshmerga, I'd eat lunch with them every day. A lot of fresh vegetables and stuff, you know. Pretty good.
So, while you were doing that, did you actually see, like, the age level? Were a lot of them carrying around weapons a lot of the time, just sort of commonly? Like up here during hunting season, of course, you see a lot of hunters just walking around with a gun, but did they just carry a weapon around as kind of a standard way of life over there, or was it just, did they usually not arm themselves when they were out in public?
Well, it depends on where you are.
Really?
You know, northern Iraq with the Kurds,